Let's ask the people.
Okay, we are live. We are live. Hello, good morning, and welcome. We have a question before we get started, which is, do we hear any kind of like echo, time delay? Actually, not much I can do about it, but I guess afterwards I can
We're
write
curious.
to, yeah, I can
I'm
write
going to
to
talk too so
the
that people
can.
can hear like from both ends. Like, can you guys hear an echo? And do you hear a delay?
Right.
Echo.
Well, okay. Meanwhile, while we wait for actually people to come on, let's introduce you. Tell us about you.
Yeah. All right. Well, first, before I even tell about me, I just want to say a big shout out to Sarah, who obviously everybody who's here knows how amazing Sarah is. But I just want to share a little story how Sarah and I met to show how amazing she is, which is that she volunteered to give me free Instagram lessons, basically. But not only that, she then said that she was going to come out to me and meet me at my favorite cafe where I live and got into her car and drove. How long was your drive, Sarah? Was it like an hour and a half?
Yeah,
Okay, an
yeah.
hour and a half to meet me to give me a little Instagram 101. So I want to begin by saying you're amazing, Sarah. So I'm so happy to like get a moment with you again.
Thank you.
Um, so that being said, my name is Tamar Field-Gersh or Tamar Gersh or just Tamar. And I am a certified life coach. And currently, I am what I call niche free, or maybe you'll know it as the general life coach. Um, but really, kind of my sweet spot is working with women who are, either tiptoeing around in their lives, like living very kind of quietly, don't want to rock the boat, or even the opposite, where they're kind of stomping around in their lives and they're, really resentful about this and resentful about that, and they really want to learn the skills of like standing up and like walking around in their lives on their 2 feet and really bringing their authentic them to this table and really being part of the world. And that's kind of part of the I love working with women in that stage, and I love working with women and then the next stage, which is really reinventing themselves, really coming to a place of whether it be in their career or just their lives, really like clearing the whole slate and starting from scratch and being like, I'm a human being. I'm allowed to start over again and again and again. And I'm allowed to up
Absolutely.
level my lives. And I'm allowed to like do whatever the hell I want to do. And I'm here to do it. And I'm ready for the work. So I love kind
And
of
I
that.
love
Those
that
are my
you
sweet
talk about
spots.
the different stages as well, because it's
Yeah.
really difficult. Like on the one hand, like, and you say that you're niche free, which is really interesting. Like in a world of niching down,
Yes.
it's quite a cool approach. But we're always told to come up with these like ideal client avatars, and the
Right.
problem with that is that your clients can be at such different stages. Like we need to remember
Yeah.
that you're not just
Yeah.
working with people that are here; they could be anywhere along the line. I also want to say that um, when we use these external programs, we get told that people have commented, but they are all called Facebook user. Can you
Mm.
see that comment I've just put up now? I have a feeling it's Jules, but I'm not sure. But
Yeah. Hi,
guys,
my
when
darling.
when you comment, you're also going to have to say who you are because I have not found a way of it actually telling me who the people are. That's another thing I need to
Okay.
research. Okay.
Probably imagine after the live, you can see it, I
I can see it
imagine,
on
but maybe.
Facebook. I can see
Okay.
it on
Yeah.
Facebook, but I don't want to be like looking at my phone and looking at here at the same time.
Yeah.
Um, anyway, so
Absolutely.
it's Jules. There you go.
Hey, Jules. What is on
Hi.
a shout out. Yay!
Yeah, there was like a, selfish something in it for me to like drive to Pardiscana as well because it was nice to get out of my hometown.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, so the title that we chose for today is not showing up on my screen. I'm like frantically trying to remember what we came up with. Tell me what we came up with.
Yeah. I believe it was something like, creating the results in your life one thought at a time. Something as
Yes,
profound as that.
that's it.
It was basically about how we can create our lives with our thoughts, which
Okay.
is the heart of my work, which is the heart of my work with my clients. It's the heart of my work with myself. So that I believe that was the title, something like
Yes.
that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Interesting. You talk about your work with yourself. Let's start there. Where,
Yeah.
like, how did you
Well,
get
yeah.
into this? Like, how did you become a coach?
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, so it's a bit of a long story, but I mean, I've been many things. I talk about reinvention. I have definitely been another
Hi,
party
Facebook
Chana.
user.
Yay! Yeah, exactly. Hi, Facebook user. We'll see who you are later. Um, so I have been many things. I've definitely reinvented myself, which is why I'm attracted to this work in my own lifetime. I'm not going to go into the specifics of that, but I've been a social worker. I got an MSW after college and practiced social work and was a social worker for pregnant teenage moms in New York City when I was living in New York City at the time, as well as working with Mexican immigrant women. I certified myself as a doula, as a birth coach, and worked as a doula for a long time. I was getting really into midwifery and was kind of combining social work with doulaing and with all those different pieces. And then for a while, I kind of put that all down and moved into, I was a director and program coordinator for a traveling summer teen program. And we traveled all over here in Israel as well in the States. And we did volunteer work, service work, and we did leadership building work and organic farming and backpacking. And it was tremendous. It was a gift. They had given us basically this donor who did not want to tell who it was, gave us a lot of money and said, do whatever you want. And so
Oh
we
my
did whatever
God,
we wanted. It was
that's the
an
best donation.
unbelievable. Yeah, exactly. It was amazing. We like went to the most incredible places. So anyway, so then I kind of stopped working as a therapist, social worker for a while, and it was kind of it wasn't doing it for me. It really wasn't. It felt like I could only do so much with social work. Like there were so many limitations I could do. There are so many like rules and regulations around there. And so anyway, I kind of went into like full-time momming. I was a, full-time EMA while doing side gigs on the side. My husband was traveling all over the country. And basically, COVID hit, and my husband's job was like, put on hold. And he was home for the first time in like 14 years. I was really kind of a solo mom for like 80% of my time, really. And he was around and available. And I was like, okay, my turn. I'm going for it. So I started looking into basically going either into the international development world because I've been very like drawn to like Africa and India and all these different countries and doing work with that, kind of combining my social work with that, or coaching. And I, after speaking to a lot of people and kind of doing my own inner work, I immediately went I was like, coaching 100%. There's no doubt in my mind. This is my craft. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. So I got certified, only I've my business. I've been like 5 months into my business, got certified in October actually, and going full force basically. And so you had asked about my own work, I'm certainly my first client. There's no doubt about that. I had seen such unbelievable change in my own life and my in reinvention in my own life with this work. There's no doubt that I am like my first client and my continuous client. And every morning, I mean, every day I'm working on myself. Like every single day, the first thing I do when I wake up is take time, like a good half an hour, and I am like writing. I'm journaling. I'm writing out my thoughts. I'm dumping everything that's going on in here, taking a look at it, getting curious about it, wanting to learn about it, wanting to get closer to me by seeing what's inside of my brain. And it's a similar work that I do with my clients and similar work that I encourage my clients to do on a daily basis as well. Because it's like going to the gym. You can't like go to the gym, you know, once a week, twice a week, even 3 times a week, and think you're going to actually get real results in your life. You got to be going at it and going at it, until it becomes like really second nature to you. And then you see like the most incredible changes that you can't even recognize yourself. And you are so in awe of what you've just created for yourself. So that's my long, long answer to what do you
Well, you
mean
talked
by what
about,
is your work? Ah,
yeah, but I mean, the process of brain dumping, um, I really,
yeah,
I'm trying to think when I started doing it. Like, I don't remember. It was quite, quite a few years ago. I realized that I would wake up, and there was so much noise in my head, so
yeah,
much noise. It was actually unbearable. And
yeah,
it's always been there, but I suddenly was like really super aware of it. And I can't say that I, religiously brain dump every morning and give myself that half hour, but when I do,
yeah,
um,
yeah.
there's some magic in the process of taking it out of your head and putting it down on the paper, because now it doesn't need to be up here, it can just be down here.
Yeah,
Um,
totally. Yeah, and you also don't even have to do it as like a if first of all, you don't even need half an hour. Like when I'm on the mornings of taking my kids to school, my husband and I split mornings. So if I'm on the morning that I'm taking them, I like do it for like 15 minutes because that's all I really
hmm,
have. And sometimes that's even more efficient because I'm like, I got to do it. I got to go in, got to go out, you know? And so it doesn't even have to be that long. But
right.
also, oftentimes, like once you just kind of get into the habit of it, you do start processing in your own brain. You know, you could be like in the shower and be like, speaking those thoughts out loud, like, "I'm not good enough to do this right now. I'm not," and like starting to like uncover what is going on in here? What are these thoughts that are like buzzing in my brain that I'm like not paying attention to, but they're taking over my life,
But they're also
those kind of
they're
thoughts.
very convincing. They really are very convincing. Like I have
Yeah,
certain times where inquiries just drop, and I'm like, right, I have no business. I'm a complete
yeah,
imposter, and I have no
yeah,
business, and I'm finished. I need to go open a bookshop or something.
totally,
Um, and it
totally,
happens
totally.
every year. And I write myself messages to say, remember, in December
Yes.
things go really quiet. Remember it. Oh
Well, that's
God.
great. I love that for sure. I mean, I tell you, when my clients like say things like that, I usually do crack up, like, at first, because 'cause I'm like, because people we are human beings. This is, like, what we share with each other. This is, like, the part of the brain that we share, and we all have these thoughts, every single one of us, but it feels like we're the only ones in
We
the
feel
world that
very
have this.
alone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's what feels scary about them,
And it
like,
feels very
because of
real.
this.
It's like those messages that your brain is telling you, they're absolutely real. Like
Yeah,
you're talking about creating results in our life one thought at a time. It's such an
yeah,
interesting, like it's such an interesting concept. The fact that um, once you start kind of working on these thoughts and breaking them down, I think it's never quite the same again.
yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. The reason why these thoughts feel so believable is because you believe them, right? When you think a thought over and over and over, it becomes a belief. And that's like rooted inside of you, right?
Mm,
So unless you pull it out to take a look at it and be like, do
hmm.
I actually believe that? Who Whose belief is this actually? Right? Is
Give
it
us
like
an
my mom's
example.
that said anything?
Give us an example.
Like, okay, like, I continuously for me, I will have like sometimes a belief like, I'll do something really great and then I will downplay myself. I'll be like, I wasn't that successful. Wasn't really that successful. Wasn't that great. Right. And so I think it comes from like a societal like piece, like directly who success screen. I'm not sure, but can you see it now? I
Something
can now I'm
happened
back.
there. You're
Okay.
back.
So I've been believing that for a long time, that no matter what I do, I'm really not that successful because and so I've had to slow that down and be like, let's define success for myself for the first time. How do I want to define being successful? Right? And so like I've really kind of reinvented that idea for myself. Like successful means I'm putting in at least 30 minutes of rest time for myself every single day because that is a sustainable life that I want to live, right? Successful means like being a part of things that I'm really excited about and really passionate about. Successful means that maybe I'm not going to like, play on the floor with my kid today because I don't want, right? So like really choosing things from like where I want to be doing things, right? Whereas successful used to be defined as like yeah, I mean, that's the bottom line. You have to like really take them out to look at them to decide are these ideas, thoughts, beliefs, the ones that you want to keep in your life, or are they somebody else's and you want to give them back and you want to create
Mm,
new ones for yourself, you know? So, the way I will say I will bring in a little tip, something that I've done that I really love when creating a new belief. For example, I have had a belief that I created a couple months ago that was I have what it takes and then some. Okay. So every single time I see something that comes up in my life that would reflect I have what it takes and then some, whether it be, you know, someone reaches out and is like, "You've just changed my life with this post that you put up. The value you just gave me has done X, Y, and Z." I will then put it on a file on my phone that I call I have what it
Good,
takes and then some file,
good. I
and
like that.
I just add to it every single day. Anything that comes up that makes me feel like I have what it takes and then some, right? So then you're gathering evidence to create this new belief because our brains are so efficient. You put out a thought, you put out a belief, and your brain will go to town proving it,
Yeah,
right? I'm not worthy. Oh yeah, then your brain's
yeah.
going to give you all the reasons why you're not worthy. But if you direct your brain into a place of like, I have what it takes and then some, or I'm so fantastic, I have so much value, whatever it is, your brain will work just as hard to create the results for that as well.
Right, and I love
So
the
that's what
idea of storing it. Like I take screenshots of like someone wrote something really nice about receiving my newsletter. And like make sure to screenshot them, but I have them in a folder called screenshots. I now need to
yes.
create folders with
Yeah,
different
totally.
titles like that. I love that idea.
Totally. Yeah. Like create a folder with a name of a belief that you're like wanting to
Love that.
really like move into and become your own because oftentimes we wait around to believe and feel something when we get there, right? Whatever the
Mm,
there is.
mm,
And the thing is that we have it backwards. We have to believe and feel now in order to quote unquote get there, right?
right.
We have to start to like really lean into feeling confident, feeling powerful, whatever emotion you're wanting to feel in order to bring in 5 more clients or get asked to speak at that TED Talk or whatever that is. We need to feel that now. Don't wait around to feel that then. We need to
Yep,
feel that now in order to bring ourselves there, right? So when you kind of create evidence in your life for what's happening now that can add to that, it then we can bring ourselves there slowly, slowly.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I remember like um 2020, obviously like March time, my all of a sudden my business like overnight just in my head, my business has disappeared because I couldn't
Hmm.
go out and do photo shoots. And at the time, I hadn't like officially launched like Instagram coaching. It was just kind of a thing I was doing on the side. And I'm like, okay, I have no business. Great.
Right.
Um, and then I had to kind of pick myself up and say, well, what can I do right now?
Yeah.
Um, and I started doing these kind of interviewing people that really interested me or inspired me or that I wanted to network or connect with. And it was what was it called? Stop and Smell the Coffee, I think.
That's
Um,
great. I love that. That's a great name.
and I had all these like different people lined up. And I also said like I'm gonna do it for as long as I feel like it's doable because I know
Yeah.
that like sometimes I just have those days or periods of time where I'm like, oh my God, everything's garbage. None of this is
Yeah.
worth it. What's the point of anything? So I knew that
Yeah.
that feeling may come along, in which case I wasn't going to be into it. But I also had
Yeah.
this like crazy imposter syndrome of who the hell am I to have like these, as if I have a TV show or a podcast or something. Who am I to be like doing these interviews with people? But what I found was people were really, really excited to do them, and I connected with people that I'd never met, or people that I went to school with when I was younger, or like people that I'd grown up with, or like it was just like there was such a broad spectrum of people, and there was
So
such a
fun.
broad spectrum of subjects. But it started with me, making that decision rather than kind of like you
Yeah.
say, like rather than waiting for it to come, I made it
Yeah.
happen.
Exactly.
Um,
Exactly.
and I
Exactly.
just, again, I want to just remind people that annoyingly, you have to give Ecamm permission to receive your name. I'm going to sort that out and make it more obvious for next time. But meanwhile, Facebook user says you also notice a pattern which takes the power away from it. Yes. And that is very true because I'm like, when for whatever reason, I'll have like four people in the pipeline who want to do photo sessions, but this one isn't ready, and that one needs to finish something else out, and that one's got corona, and this one had like burst pipes and had to spend all their money on something boring.
Yeah,
And I'll be like, great, great, now I have no business.
right, right.
And it's noticing that pattern
Yeah,
is so, so
absolutely.
important. Whoever that was,
Noticing
thank
it
you.
for sure, and listen, I think that, like, um, as coaches, I think we do a lot of work on, you know, when we're trying to go after something or we're trying to create something in our lives to really look at, like, what are those patterns that come up for us? What are those quote unquote obstacles, and putting things in play, right? So, like, if we recognize that something that, around this time or whatever, whenever we only have like a few clients on the line and not that many more, what should we kind of be doing? What should we be looking at, right? And then that is the opportunity to kind of look at, okay, so what thoughts can we bring into our lives that feel like a little bit like will kind of like rest us a little bit, right? Because I think, people in this group, right, have their own, everybody has their own business, right? And so
Yeah.
they have their clients, their customers, whoever it is. And if you're like, you know, grasping for clients and customers like all the time, that is going to be your energy when you're kind of
Yes, like
like, I need
desperation.
you to need me in order to like feel like fantastic, right?
Yeah,
And who the hell wants to buy from that kind of person, right?
right.
You want to feel like, you want to be like, I have so many different opportunities, right? My a thought that I have is that like I only know like 5% of my clients right now. Only 5% of my clients are in my orbit. I don't
Yes.
even know 95% of them yet.
Yeah, yeah,
They don't even know about me yet.
yes.
This is gonna be so fantastic when we meet each other, you know?
I love that.
But I do wanna say one thing about thoughts, right? Because I
Yes.
think that oftentimes, thoughts can get a bad rep, which I'm doing a little bit of it now, but like, a bad thought and a good thought,
Right.
right? And I wanted to like be clear that like there really is no such thing, right?
Mm,
Our brain will continuously offer us thoughts. And then we
right.
get to decide to look at them and to get curious with them and have it as an opportunity to get to know ourselves better, right? So when your brain is like offering like, "Oh, you're not successful again. Too bad," right? It's not like this bad thought that your brain is like, so rude and like is trying to destroy your life. It's trying to protect you. Like that's what it's trying to do, right? But
Right.
obviously, that's from ancient times, right? We're no longer in survival mode, but our brain still thinks that we're in survival mode. So what
Right.
it is it is keeping you away from your success and your potential, but it doesn't mean to be doing those things, right?
Well, it's
So
more
just
like
to
your
know,
brain is saying, do we need to worry about this? Do we need to care about this? And then you
yeah,
have a conversation with it
exactly,
saying, no, 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 don't worry, I've got this, it's fine. Or you're kind of
exactly,
like, oh, yeah, maybe I do, like it's,
exactly, exactly, totally, right. That's the thing. It's like I remember listening to a podcast. I forgot which one, and I tell this to my clients all the time. It was like this famous sports guy. He made it big in the sports thing. Um, and I like to think of them as helpful or unhelpful rather than bad or good. Okay, yeah. Listen, I mean, I like to think of all my thoughts as helpful, all of them, because whether it's helpful in getting you to where you quote unquote want to move in with the direction you want to move in, or it's helpful in terms of like, oh, this is making me feel an emotion that doesn't feel comfortable, and I want to know about it. I want to know why I'm actually believing this right now. It's an amazing opportunity to like learn about yourself and what you're believing, right? Because you can't move to that quote unquote new thought, that helpful thought, until you understand what this unhelpful thought is. And that unhelpful thought will be jam packed with amazing information for you, like data for you to get to know yourself more. So really, it's kind of both very helpful. One of them doesn't maybe feel so great. One feels
mm,
a little bit better,
yeah.
but they're both, can be really incredibly helpful.
So this sports
And
guy, I
oh
distracted you
yes,
with the
okay,
comment.
good for you. Yeah. So this famous sports guy, I forgot who it was, forgot what podcast or whatever, but he had said someone asked him, "What? How did you go from like, a pretty good, doing well on again? I forgot even which sport. Let's just say it's basketball. How did you go from like being like good on the court to like being this like famous basketball guy?" And he said, "It's the moment I stopped listening to myself and I started talking to myself." The moment he stopped
Mm.
just listening to the chatter, the brain chatter going on in his brain, and he started being like, listen, I hear you. I know why you're offering these thoughts. I get it, but I just don't believe it anymore. Or we're not going to do that right now.
Yes,
Or I actually am worthy of this. I get why you might not feel it right now, but you'll be on board soon. Like really having a relationship with both sides of your brain at all times, right? And not like just trying to shut it up. Like I used to say, like, I'm just trying to get out of my own way. But I no longer say that because that feels really like that's not what I want. I want to like hold my own hand. I want to like
yeah,
hold her hand and be like, I get it. It feels really scary. I know your job is to make sure I survive. Thank you for that. I am totally surviving and now I want to thrive. So now I'm going to let you just be like a silent partner and walk with me to this like next step. So that's basically he's saying. He's like, I stopped listening to myself and I started just totally talking and having conversation and dialogue. And that like changed his life, right? And that is something that could like change all of our lives, really. Yeah.
amazing. What else have you got for us? I love this.
What else? What else do we got here? Okay, let's think. We got lots of stuff. Really, thoughts. I mean, I do want to say, like, I think thought work is incredibly important and is really like the is can really move us in so many beautiful ways. I'll talk a little bit about like uncomfortable, the work I do for myself, the work I do with my clients. When we're like what I like to do for myself and my clients is really to slow ourselves down because in a world of like we just need to go, we just need to like we're like busy. Most of us are like busy mothers. We're like not only have our careers and our businesses that we're creating, and a lot of us are entrepreneurs, which is like a thing in itself, right? But we also then have kids and we have a partner and we have like, and so many our Jewish lifestyle, there's so many different things that are part of our lives. And so we really take the time to like slow down to listen in what's going on because we don't take the time naturally to do that, right? And when we uncover things that feel really uncomfortable, a thought that makes us feel shameful, a thought that makes us feel unworthy, a thought that makes us feel disappointed, overwhelmed, all those kinds of things, we don't quickly try to move then to this other thought that will make us feel better. That will make us feel, won't we don't go from like, you know, um I feel like crap. I can't get anything done to like I'm fantastic. I do so many things. I da 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 da, right? Like we don't
Right.
go from there to there. We really stay in the thought that's like making us feel uncomfortable for as long as it takes. Because really, my coach says this all the time. Like that when you can get comfortable with being uncomfortable, that's where you hold your power. When you can be like, I'm going to sit with shame, I'm going to sit
Mm.
with overwhelm, I'm going to sit with disappointment, and I'm not going to resist it. I'm not going to be like, you can't come in the door. You cannot
Right,
come
and then
here. I'm
people always
sorry.
say, but where do you draw the line between sitting in it and wallowing? And I always
Yeah.
just kind of say, like, for me, I think you have to know yourself to know where that line is.
Yeah.
Like now I'm just really
You'll know
enjoying
it.
the wallowing. Now I'm
Yeah.
not kind of, now I've kind of taken it a little bit too far.
Yeah.
Is that fair to
I think that
say?
there's a difference between wallowing and letting it like go over
Wash
you,
over you.
right?
Yeah.
So, like, really, like and you're not because I think wallowing is not a purposeful act. Wallowing, you just like it's like just like kind of being resentful. It's being, it's the same kind of emotion that you're just like not purposefully doing that, as opposed to letting it like really like allowing, let's say shame, let's say you're feeling shameful about something, really allowing shame to happen is a really purposeful, you're doing it consciously, you're literally like taking some time in your room to say out loud, I am feeling so ashamed right now. This is the
Mm.
reasons why. And saying it out loud and taking the time and then like allowing yourself to close your eyes and be like, where do I feel shame in my body right now? What does shame feel like to me? Right? Does it feel like heavy shoulders? Does it feel like I'm like, I can't move my body? Does it feel like buzzing? Does it feel like really trying to connect to the emotion of what that is, right? And letting it like go into your body, right? And then like taking time to let yourself move through the day and feeling shame. Like I just had this like a few like 2 months ago maybe where I was feeling really shameful about something. And I was like, okay. I listened. I'm like, shame, you're allowed to be here right now. I'm like letting you be here right now. It feels like crap. And I like kind of want to like tell you to go away, but I also know that you're here. And if I tell you to go away, you're going to keep on coming back.
Yeah.
And so I just like let it ride. And then you literally know when you get to the other side. Your body knows that you got to the other side. And your body knows that you're ready to then like get to come to this new place with a thought that like will bring you to a new emotion that you're ready for next. You'll know
This
it
is
100%.
this is why I always get really irritated by the
Yeah.
good vibes only idea,
Mhm.
because it
Yes.
doesn't allow for our full range of motions. And it's something that we're supposed to teach our kids on such a basic level. Is like we have all these feelings and we can feel all the feels and they're okay. And meanwhile, we see these messages on social media of good vibes only and always
Yeah.
smiling and be like
Absolutely.
be what is it
Absolutely.
like? Oh yeah, always have a smile on your face.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. No, for sure. That's an incredibly thing. I think that's like as parents, that's our responsibility to teach our kids 100%. When my kids say to me, like, my 6-year-old just said to me the other day, like, I think he was talking about being scared about something. I'm really scared. And I'm like, okay, let's
mm,
let you be scared right now. Let's like, I'm like, I'm you're safe, you're okay. And it's okay for you to be scared
yeah, we don't
because
say, "Oh, don't be scared. Don't be that."
right. Exactly.
Yeah,
Because probably many of us in with our parents' generation, it was more like, "Just don't be scared." Like, it was
don't be
so
scared. Don't cry.
they just
Don't
want you to be
worry.
okay. Yeah. And it's, again, coming from a good place. Like,
Of
they
course, it
just like, "I'm
comes
so
from a good
afraid." They want you
place.
to be okay. But, like, it's not honoring that, like, it's okay. Like, most like, when we're feeling an emotion that doesn't feel good to us, it's not actually, like what feels scary to us is not the shame, is not the fear, is not the da da da. It's the fact that we think something has gone wrong and feeling shameful, that something has gone wrong and feeling scared, and that it's like the fear of the fear. It's the shame of the
Yeah.
shame, right? It's not the actual direct emotion. It's the like fear of it, the shame of it, right? And so if
Mm.
we allow it and we say it's okay and nothing has gone wrong at all, and I'm going to get to use this to be a stronger person, a wiser person, a more connected to me person, then you almost like welcome in those uncomfortable emotions in a whole different way because you're
Yeah,
like,
and that whole
ultimately, I
like
know that they're good for me.
connected to me is an interesting one because I think I struggle to even understand that stand such it's such a simple thing like connecting to yourself. I'm like, what does that mean? It took me
Yeah.
a long time to understand it. And
Yeah.
the other week, like last week, I was scheduled to do this whole like Reels workshop, and then
Mm.
I consumed too much news, and I just couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. And
Yeah.
I was so tuned into my own feelings and my mood and everything and my energy. And I'm like, I'm literally gonna like turn up and be like
Yeah.
monosyllabic, not doing this, not doing
Yeah.
this.
Yeah. And you know what? That's also okay. Like, I think as entrepreneurs, as business women, as things like that, we like have to make our own rules. Like, we have
Yeah,
to reinvent rules for ourselves. And if maybe that wouldn't have been okay for somebody else in a, and in a different world, a different time or whatever, but like if you're having a hard moment and hard time in that place, you get to choose. You could like totally do work and try to get yourself to a place that feels right for you or whatever, or you could also be like right now I just don't know, I'm feeling heavy, I'm feeling intense, and even though I run a business, it's not going to die overnight and people are not going to die because I'm not doing a real
right.
workshop right now.
Yeah,
Everything's going to be
exactly.
okay,
It will be fine.
right? It will be fine, and I'm going to take that break right now for myself, right? I think that that is a huge, I think especially again as business women, I think that that is literally a skill that we have to learn how to do. Like taking those breaks, taking those moments, I remember one of my coaches, she was my business coach. She's amazing. She's incredible, and she was doing a webinar. She was pregnant, and at one point she's like, "I'll be right back. I'm going to go pee." And so she went to go pee, and she came back, and the amount of messages that came in about how, like, no one mentioned anything about the actual content, the webinar. People were so impressed that she took that break to go pee in the middle of like a live, being filmed webinar. People
Amazing.
were like, I can't believe you did that. That was like, you people don't do those
It's so
things. And so,
inspiring, right?
right, exactly. It was
I've
so
seen
like,
people take phone calls like when their kid's school rings and they see their phone and that it's
yeah,
a school calling and they're like, they've quickly weighed up the fact that this is really
yeah,
important right now. This is my child and maybe something's wrong. And
exactly.
nothing's going to happen if I hit pause for a couple of seconds and answer this
Exactly,
call.
exactly. Do you remember, I don't know if you remember, but in the beginning of Corona, when that, viral video came out of that big, I think it was CNN guy who was doing something. It was like everybody was locked down, everybody was home, and there was, like, this
Well, and his
big
kid
news. Do you
came
know what I'm
in.
talking about?
The one where his
Because
kid
his
came
kid
in.
came in. Exactly, his kid came in, and those and the everyone thought it was the nanny, but it was the wife who, like, quickly got him out, and the guy was
Yeah,
trying
and
to,
he
like,
was like trying to shove the kid
yeah,
out.
exactly. He was like, "Shh," and just kind of like straightforward, and everyone's like commending him. What an amazing job he did. For me, I kind of was like,
Yeah.
"Really? I mean, we all
Why did
know
you
we're in
shove your
lockdown.
child?
Right. We know that you're not in an office and you got a kid. We're
Yeah,
human beings,
yeah.
Like this is the best thing you could show your humanness. That's what we're like. That's what we're so thirsty for. We're so thirsty to like get to know each other on a human to human level. Like I would have loved for him to be like laughing and been like, "Hold on, I can't believe this is happening. 1 second," instead of being like trying to keep a straight face and, I don't know how
Yeah.
I got on that tangent. I forgot, but anyways.
Well, we're talking about like creating results in our lives. So now, like, I can see
Yeah.
that, like, when you're talking about creating results, um, like, what would you say about like the idea of like doing it one thought at a time? Like, what's the idea behind that?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think everything is one step at a time. I think we human beings love to complicate things. We love to make things very, very tricky for ourselves so that ultimately we don't do them, right? Like exercising. Well, if I'm going to exercise, I'm going to have to like get up every morning at like 6 a.m., work out for an hour and change my food and da 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 da. And that seems really complicated. So forget it. I'm not going to do it, right? I think thought work is really similar to that, and it really is one thought at a time. So when we are like investigating, like again, like I said, like my thought work I do in the morning, I write down all of my what's going on in my brain, and I'll choose one thing that's kind of coming up that feels like the most, bolette, but the most like whatever, like,
Mm,
like, is calling for me the most, it's kind of tapping my shoulder the most that I wanna look into. I don't look into all of my thoughts. If I did that, I wouldn't have a business. I wouldn't be a mother to 4 children. I wouldn't, like, have time to, like, hang out with my husband and go for walks on the beach. Like, so I choose, like, one thought a day to kind of, like, start to really investigate and to look at. Um, and I could decide to look at that thought for a week. If there's like real, like if I want to get really curious about it and really see like where is this thought coming from? What is it really? What is the deeper? What's deeper? What is deep underneath it? I'll take my time as long as I need to really kind of investigate, why do I believe it? Do I still believe it? Do I want to believe it? How does it make me feel when I believe it? What results in my life have I gotten because I've been believing this thought? Right. And it's
mm,
literally that. It's literally having one thought, right? And investigating one thought that can change your life. And when my thought work has like basically it hasn't like changed my life where I'm like a completely different person. It is like this like slight shift that has
yeah,
changed my life
yeah.
significantly. The slight like, okay, like, okay, I could do things differently. I can do things differently right now that I've done in the past, right? And it's like that with thought work. It's like one kind of slight shift. And so if there's something coming up in your life, whether like again, it's in your business, if you're feeling like, oh, my clients are never going to come to me. They're
Mm,
never going to come, right? And so, I would definitely advise like, okay, let's look at that. Like, why do you believe that your clients are never going to come to you? Do you actually believe that your clients are not going to come to you? Right? A lot of times it's like, now that I said it out loud, I guess I don't really believe that, right? It's kind of been like a safety thought, a thought that's kind of come in And again, like, our brain's very sneaky, right? It's really trying to protect us, really trying to keep us in the cave and not go out and get eaten by those lions. So, like, my clients are going to never come to me. Can really, how does that make you feel, right? It most likely makes you feel like just, deflated, and you don't want to go after it. And you don't want to go after your business and whatever. And so it's like your brain is sneakily trying to like derail your work and your business because that's
Mm.
scary. That's brand new. That is something like different and change, and your brain doesn't like those things, right? And so so if you're on to your thoughts in that kind of way, you'll understand that, like, okay, now I know what's going on. Now I know what's
Mm-hmm.
happening.
Yeah, I've seen you
Do I
before.
want I've seen you. I know what you're about, right? It's the same thing as you for you coming up with like, I'm not successful. Forget it. My business is to crap, right? It's like, okay, is that true? Like, where can I see that it's actually where it's not true? Where's that coming up right now where I can prove that that's actually not true, right? And it's just kind of getting yourself back on track, and in place of like just being onto yourself, being onto your thoughts
And I
and
love
being
having
like,
the idea of these like folders like on my desktop with all these
yeah,
different screenshots of proof of you are
yes,
successful and you
yes,
do deserve this and you are capable of that. Like I told
exactly.
myself for years because as a kid I was like I wasn't just shy, I was kind of like almost mute. I didn't talk to
Yeah,
people for years. So there was a very, very strong belief that I had that I could not show up online and do this. I
yeah,
couldn't. I just couldn't.
yeah.
And I used to blush as well. Oh my God, in school. If I
Mm.
was called on and I had to speak, I would blush. And
Uh-huh.
then everyone would point to me and laugh and say, "Ah, look, she looks like a tomato."
And look
So
at
then
you.
that
And look
panic
at you
of,
now.
yeah. So
It's
it was
amazing.
like that process of just
Yeah.
completely unbelieving it.
Yeah, totally. Right? And everybody's work is gonna be so different, right? Like we all come with like our own families and our own cultures that we grew up in, and our new cultures and all these different things. We all come with all the different packages. And
Yeah.
knowing that thought in itself really helps me have a compassion for myself when I'm like unpacking these beliefs that feel like, I can't believe I've been thinking that. It's so embarrassing. I never thought I would think that and believe that, but I have been. And it's like, right, okay. It's because I didn't grow up in a bubble. I grew up with like in a society and a family and all these different things, and it's okay that I believed it for whatever time I wanted to, and it's okay if I also wanna let them go and, like,
Yeah.
create new things for myself, you know? And it's
Hmm.
amazing. That's an amazing story, Sarah. I love that, right? Like, where you just, like, didn't think you could do those things, and, like, you're totally doing those things. Put that
Yeah.
down on your folder.
Yeah. I will.
Yeah, definitely do,
Wow.
for sure.
I'm looking at the
Yeah,
time. I'm like, how that went very fast. Very, very
that went
fast.
fast.
I'm so
That
happy
did.
that we got to do this. We have
I'm
postponed
so
this
glad. Thank you.
a couple of times, but we
No,
did
I
it.
really
And
appreciate you
awesome.
bringing me on, sending lots of love to all your people, and, yeah, this was very fun. I really appreciate the second chat we get to have.
And I will go back into Facebook so that I can see who these Facebook users are that have commented. And I'm assuming if anyone wants to ask you questions, they know how to find you in the group. And where
Yeah,
else can they find you?
absolutely. They can find me on Instagram, Tamar Tribe, TamarTribe on Instagram,
Hmm.
or on Facebook, Tamar Field-Gersh. You can find both
Awesome.
those locations. Okay. Amazing.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Sarah. I appreciate it. Super fun.
Thank you. Kisses. See you soon. Bye.
Bye.